All praises to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, forever and ever, so let it be true. Love, honor, and respect to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, and to His Holy Son Yahweh Shai, who died for the 12 tribes of Israel. Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, and double honors to the apostles of GMS, to the 4 major prophets, to the 12 minor prophets, and to the 144,000, the brothers, the Akim, the saints who are preaching the word of God on the 4 corners of this earth, risking their lives day in and day out. We're on another lesson on peace and blessings, Peace and blessings, shalom to all the brothers, sisters, and children who are watching these videos. We're on another lesson. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 2024. We'll talk a little bit about the news, and then we're going to read the book of Jeremiah. The other day I was talking about the police are issuing hundreds of citations on expired registrations. And this is happening all over the United States, that people are not paying for their plate registration, your yearly registrations. So Denver police are cracking down here in the city and in the suburbs on missing and expired tags. So they're hunting these people down, because a lot of these people have stopped paying for months. They're behind. Some they haven't paid for years. They're 2, 3, 4 years they haven't paid. And recently they said, that just people are just not paying it. People have stopped paying their insurance. This is how bad the economy's coming. Like, I was watching that video in Las Vegas. There's just cars just driving around with no plates at all on their car. Okay, so that's happening in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, Seattle, Oakland, San Francisco. This is happening all over the United States. But on CNBC, CNN, Fox, it says the economy is the greatest economy ever. All right, it's all lies. It's all lies from the serpent. Okay, it's all lies. But that's what's happening here in Denver. It says that they're looking for these people, and they're going to start picking up. They'll tow their cars. They're going to start picking them up. They're giving them citations, and it just shows you that people are upset. This is a very conservative state. People are upset when they watch the news and said there's thousands of people that are not paying for their plates. But the majority of the people, they're going by the laws. They're paying their due, and people got upset, and they put pressure on city officials here in the city of Denver and the county of Jefferson County, Boulder, Arapahoe, and now they're going to start going after these people. They're going to start towing their cars, and that's what's coming. All right, and those boots, it's called the Denver boot, where they boot your car. So they're going to boot it, or they're going to tow it. So that just shows you that the economy is upside down. More layoffs. So there's a massive company has laid off thousands of workers in Florida. The company is called UKG, a major player in staffing industry, decided to shake things up in a big way. Just when everybody was gearing up for some holiday cheer, UKG pulled the rug out from under about 2,200 employees right before July 4th. This happened on July 3rd. And they got the notice, they got their paper, they're no longer employed. All right? This is happening all over the United States. We're on a massive, the last couple years there's been mass layoffs, but we're on a whole new level in 2024. 2025, 2026, we're going into a deep depression. All right? We're in a recession. They haven't even called that out. Like I said, during World War I and World War II, they didn't call it World War I until after the World War. 5-6 years after World War One. Then they said that was a world war. Same thing happened in World War Two. It wasn't until like 1950, after the war, because the war happened in the late 1930s and to, I believe, 1945, but they didn't call it World War II until around 1950. The same thing right now. They're saying we're not in a recession. We're in a recession, but you're not going to hear about it until like 10 years later. They're going to say, yeah, America was in a recession from 2020, 21, 22, and we're going into a depression in 2025, 2026, 2027. But like I said, every time I make a video, I'll bring out all these companies. There's just too much. I'll be out here talking for hours just on the news, you know. So every time I come out, I'll bring out more information on major companies that are collapsing, all right, and they're going bankrupt. A lot of these businesses are going bankrupt, all right. Going to the weather, Las Vegas, this was yesterday, had an all-time record. The highest record in Las Vegas, Nevada was 117 degrees. Yesterday, it hit 120, 3 degrees higher. So it is getting hotter, and the Southwest is hot. You know, you go from Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, it's hot. Even southern Colorado, it gets very hot in the summer. You know, Colorado's considered as a desert, but we have good weather here in the city of Denver. We have the seasons, but it does get hot here, but it does not compare to Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. And it's just going to get hotter. Death Valley hit 130 degrees, and it could break world records amid a blistering heat wave. And I believe they said the next few days here in the city of Denver, we're going to be hitting 100 for the next few days. Let's see. Going back to that Hurricane Beryl, flooding continues to impact the Houston area. The storm Beryl kills at least 3 and knocked out power for 2.7 million Texans. All right, flooding is reported all over the place, and this was like this hurricane went through the Caribbean, and then how it twisted around to Texas this early in the season. Okay, and you know, I was watching a video and they were talking about how insurance is just going to get higher. There's all these major storms. You have these tornadoes, you have hailstorms hitting all over the Midwest. Was it a month ago when it rained 10 to 20 inches in Miami, flooded? That was not even a hurricane, that was just a regular tropical storm, flooding everywhere. When that water goes into your house, black mold. All right, so I gave you brothers and sisters a token. If you live off the coast anywhere, get out of there. If you have a home, sell it. You better sell it as fast as you can, because it's gonna get worse. All right, the waters are hotter. The Gulf of Mexico, you have the Pacific, and you have the Atlantic. The water is hot, so these storms are going to be storms, hurricanes, tropical storms on steroids. That's what's happening. All right, and just going to get worse. Like I said, the East Coast, the West Coast is finished, and then desert states where that hot heat. Like I said, Texas, no good. New Mexico, no good. Arizona and California, it's finished. Especially if you live on the coast, you have all these millions of people moving to Vegas. I mean, there ain't going to be no more water. The electricity is going to fail. I mean, there's so many with the cyber attacks. People that are living in those states, in Vegas, hitting 120 degrees. If that power goes out, it's like cooking food, cooking soup, a chicken soup inside your oven. Without those air conditioners, you're done. Done. Even in Florida, the heat is bad. Okay, during the summer, you have it's like living in a shower, a hot shower. Right when you walk outside, your whole body's wet from sweat. All right, but them desert states, they're finished. They're done. You're not going to be able to sell your home for nothing. They're worth nothing. All right, major disasters are coming to the East Coast, to the Gulf states, and to the West Coast. You've been warned. All right, I told you the states where people are gonna, millions are gonna flee to is the state of Colorado, Utah, Nebraska, Kansas, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, and Montana. So, like I said, 2.7 million people in Texas, this was yesterday, have no power. Now we're going to talk about the national debt. Crisis is about to explode because we're in high inflation, but we're going to start going into hyperinflation because all the BRIC nations are dumping the dollar. They're all going away from the dollar, and they want to go to the gold standard, which goes back to biblical times. World money is gold and silver. The Rothschilds keep the gold, and they gave you paper, the fiat dollar, which is it's worth nothing. Your bonds and stocks on Wall Street is worth zero. All right, and you're gonna find out the hard way. America, you're about to get a foot in your ass. All right, a rude awakening is coming to America. A rude awakening. So the national debt, it's out of control. It's out of control with all the newcomers, migrants, immigrants, illegals, whatever you want to call them. They're just flooding the United States, flooding from all over the world. They said millions of Chinese migrants, immigrants are in the United States. All right? They're coming in from Eastern Europe. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from all over Latin America. Latin America opened the gates to the psychopaths, sociopaths, serial killers. They sent them to America. They're in a neighborhood near you, and crime is at an all-time high. I mean, I read it every day. People are getting robbed at ATMs. They're getting robbed in grocery stores. They're getting robbed outside of the grocery store. It's like I said, it's going to get violent out here. It's already happening. And in Chicago, over the weekend, they said over 100 people were shot. Chicago is a wasteland, all right? That's why I pray every day for martial law. I pray for the Roman armies to come in. That's a prophet's dream come true. So I'm not afraid. And I put that video. For 2 weeks, they're training right next door. They're in the alley. There's a ton of guys in the alley, around the house, on the block. And I rejoice in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. I rejoice because God's bringing it to pass. This gets me excited. Gets me excited, man. So you have what's happening now. You can look up these articles. Hundreds of thousands of mortgages start to adjust. You can look up these articles, okay? Adjustable mortgages bankrupting homeowners. So not only do you have millions of people that stop paying their rent, millions of people that stop paying their mortgages, you have people that adjusted their mortgage. So they're going to start bankrupting because their mortgage now is going to double. Okay, we're going to get into it. Newsweek, you can look it up. This is the title on Newsweek. Hundreds of thousands of Americans may see mortgage payments double. Out of CNN, thousands of homeowners are about to get slammed with higher monthly payments. Not going to be pretty. Homeowners face huge rate jumps. adjustable rate mortgages are due to reset for many borrowers. Some 70% of holders are worried about payments, survey finds. Okay? Like I said, every day I read the Holy Book, and then I tie the news, what's going on around the world and what's happening here in the United States, and I'll write these articles down. That's why I bring my notebook, because I have to make a point. Because everything that they're telling you, everything's okay, it's not okay. But you can find these articles, you got to dig and you'll find them. All right, and these are recent, this is all this month, the month of July. Mortgage trap. And it is, a mortgage is a trap. All right, from the Rothschilds. It's all a trap. Once you sign for that mortgage, the mortgage means death. It means the morgue. Same thing with a car loan. People don't have no understanding of money. I don't care what school you went to. 99.9% of Americans do not understand money. They don't even know what real money is. They think you got so arrogant because you got these diplomas and these degrees, your bachelor's, your master's degrees, and you think you're smart, but you're not smart. You have no understanding of money. Real money is gold and silver. And when you sign those contracts, it's a trap that you're just gonna be paying years and years of interest. Now these people that signed up for these homes, they're in big trouble, all right? So it's a mortgage trap. The trap means we, the people, the American people, were fed false information by a double agent. And the double agent is who? The Rothschilds and their flunkies that run the banks. They're double agents, and they walk you straight into a trap, okay? There was a loan officer surprised by a higher mortgage payment. You can look this lady up. She was a loan officer in that field, in that realm of real estate, banks, loans, and she didn't even understand it, okay? I believe her mortgage doubled or something. She can't pay it. People are in big trouble. We're gonna get into it. She said, forgetting she had a 7-1 ARM was a costly mistake. An ARM adjustable rate mortgage loan is a home loan with an interest rate that can change. This means that monthly payments can vary over the life of the loan. Typically, ARMs start with a fixed interest rate for a specific period, usually 3 years, 5, 7, or 10 years. But once that hits, if you did a 3-year, a 5-year, a 7-year, once it hits that year, then it changes. And this is where these people are getting their $2,500 mortgage is now going to $3,900. Some are going to $4,300. A lot of them are doubling. So these people are in big trouble. They do not understand money. They don't understand interest. They don't understand nothing. They just sign it. Just like when these dummies go buy a car or a truck, and then car salesmen, they're a bunch of low-life losers, and the people that run those car places, but they're all going to be dead. They've been ripping you off for decades, but they're all going down because no one has no more money. But I'm talking about recently, the last couple decades, people just go in there and they're just finding something that they could pay. So they'll tell the car dealer, I could afford $500 a month or $700 a month, not knowing that this loan is going to be years. You're gonna just be paying interest. All right. Just to make an example, if you found a $25,000 car, which you can't even find a brand new car for $25,000. But I'm just saying, if you found something for $25,000, by the time you sign up that death contract, by the time you get done paying your little $500 a month that you agree on, that's the only thing that you understand. Oh, I could pay $500 a month. But you're not knowing that $25,000 car, now you're going to be paying $75,000 to $100,000 with interest on that car, just paying that minimum whatever payment that you're trying to pay, $400, $500, $600. Now these payments, A lot of these new cars, new trucks, they're at 90,000, 110,000, 125,000. You'll be paying that $100,000 truck or Jeep that you're trying to get is going to turn into like a $325,000 loan. But you don't understand money. You should just go buy a car for $3,000, $4,000 with cash, and you don't have to worry about all this expensive insurance. You know, you shouldn't be paying more than $100 to $200 on your car insurance. You have people that are actually paying $400 or $500 a month, plus these outrageous loans of $800, $1,000, $1,400. Some people are paying $2,000 car loans. I mean, people are just plain stupid. I've never seen it, but this was all by design, though. The schools, the books, that was all by design from the Rothschild family to be subservient to their system, to the beast. And they're just destroying families. All right, so that's what's going on with this lady. Her payments. You can look this lady up, and there's thousands. All right, thousands. It says millions of homeowners have taken out arms, and many are now entering their adjustable periods, according to the Intercontinental Exchange. 328,000 homeowners have already past the end of their fixed period. So these over 300,000 Americans now, they have to pay the piper. They thought this was going to stay the same, their mortgage. No, now their payment's going to double. These people are done. They're finished. And at a time of hyperinflation, go to the grocery stores. They're not going to survive. All right, and then it says, so you have 328,000 homeowners have already passed the end of their fixed periods. So they're getting these notices in the mail saying your mortgage is no longer $2,800 a month, and now it's jumped up to $3,900 or $4,200. Now they're shaking in their boots. They're gonna have nightmares every night. How are we gonna pay this? Like I said, they bamboozled the people, all right? And then it says you have 102,000 will face this change at the end of this year. So another 100,000. So altogether you have 400,000. You have millions of people that sign these contracts, these death contracts. Millions. They're done. And this is the worst time. This is at the worst time, because you've never faced hyperinflation in your lifetime like what's happening. I think the last time that things got out of control were in the 1970s in the United States. Most of you weren't even born in the 1970s. But what's happening now, because back in the 1970s, you could buy houses for $20,000, $50,000, $60,000. All right, when there was high interest rates back that time, it was considered high interest, and there was a lot of layoffs going on in the 70s. But what's happening now is completely different. Your average home now is what is it, $470,000? It's way overpriced. I mean, they bamboozled you to rob you on your property taxes, all right? And you people fell for it. They gave you the illusion that you had wealth. You have no wealth, all right? You're gonna be destitute. So that's what's going on. That we're gonna get, like I wanna talk about credit cards. That's a trap. I'll probably talk about that the next video, but credit cards is a trap. That's a trap, all right? When you have credit cards, it's only for an emergency. 99% of Americans are using it to go out to eat, to buy groceries, but we'll talk about that on the next video. I want to get right into the Holy Book. So let's get in it. So we're going to start with the Holy Book of, I want to read the beginning of Jeremiah. This is chapter 1. And he's one of the four major prophets. These are one of my favorite books. I love the big books in the Old Testament: Jeremiah, Isaiah, Daniel, and Ezekiel. Those are like my favorite books about the prophets. all right? And what they went through hell, all right? They were persecuted. They were surrounded by armies. Everybody wanted them dead. They were not loved. The prophets were not loved. They were hated. They were hated. See, everything that you watch these Protestant churches and these Joel Osteens and all those creeps, God calls them greedy dogs. They're the false prophets. They only cherry pick the scriptures. Those guys are loved. They're like rock stars. They're loved. They have they live in big mansions. They have these big church buildings. And the whole building is corrupted, starting with the preacher, all right? When you see people being loved, they're deceitful workers of Satan. God's people, God's prophets are hated. They're not loved, they're hated. See, everything you were taught was a lie. So I'm going to start with Jeremiah chapter 1. And I'm going to start with verse 4. The call of Jeremiah. And the Lord said to me, the Lord Yahweh said to me, I chose you before I gave you life. That's beautiful right there. That's beautiful. This is the Most High story. This is what people don't understand when people say the Bible was written by man. It was written by the Most High, and his name is Yahweh. This is his story. He had prophets write it down because no one could get close to the Almighty God, Yahweh. You'll drop dead from his brightness. So he had men write the book, but it was already written. It's the Most High's mind. This is his story. It's always been from the beginning of time. And that's when he told Jeremiah, I chose you before I gave you life. From ancient of time. It was already written in God's brain. The holy book, from the book of Genesis to Revelations, it was already written. Millions, billions, trillions, and on ago. Ancient of times. The ancient of ancient is Yahweh. And his first creation was his son, who you call Jesus Christ or Jesus, but he has an ancient Hebrew name, Yahweh Shai. And we're the only people on earth that have the name. Satan doesn't want you to know that name, or the masses. That's why we're all shadow banned. The channels are suspended. I'm on a video. Sorry, brothers and sisters. There's always, right when I'm talking about the name, things like that happen. But the name, it's all about the name. Why do you think Satan and the generals and his captains and lieutenants and the Rothschilds, his children, don't want you to know his name? Because when all the prophets, 144,000, and a great multitude of brothers, sisters, and children call upon his ancient Hebrew name, that's when the Most High will tap his son and says, it's time for the second coming. And it's the end of Satan and the Rothschilds Herodian kingdom. Their empires, their power structure will end. That's why we're shadow banned and our channels are suspended. All right? And all these people, they think his name is Jesus. They just don't know. That's why we're out here making these videos. And every day there's a brother, there's a sister that are finding these channels. But it's just a small remnant. But that's okay. That's the way the story goes. This is the Most High's movie. This is his story. And I love it when he says, Yahweh said to me, I chose you before I gave you life. And before you were born, I selected you to be a prophet. You have a lot of people out here, these preachers, the Pope, the cardinals. Those are false prophets. Them men are demons. They're in a racket. They got into the racket of making trillions, billions, and millions. All right? Like your Protestants, they make millions. All right? That Roman pagan church, you're talking about billions and trillions of dollars. All right? He says, before you were born, I selected you to be a prophet to the nations. That's beautiful. He picked Jeremiah. So Jeremiah, he wanted to have kids. He wanted to get married. But when God picks you, you can't run from him. All the prophets wanted to just mind their own business. Wanted to live a nice private life, have a wife and have some kids, and be in the backyard, you know, watch his grandkids run around. But God had a plan for Jeremiah, for Isaiah, for Ezekiel, for Daniel, and then he had the 12 minor prophets. He picked them before they were born. These are special men who walk the earth today. He said, I selected you to be a prophet to the nation. And I answered to the Most High God, Yahweh, I don't know how to speak. I am too young. When he was speaking to him, he was a very young man. He was probably like the age of 12 or 13, Jeremiah. There's some people believe he started speaking at the age of, he was preaching at the age of 20. I believe he was out there, it was like just turned 12. He was a young boy that just turned, at the age of 12, you're considered as a young man in the ancient Hebrew way of life. The age of 12, you become a man. Okay? And he says right here, I don't know how to speak. I am too young. But the Lord Yahweh said to him, do not say that you are too young, but go to the people I send you to, and tell them everything I command you to say. Do not be afraid of them, or I've read this Bible so much it's like some of the words, it's like a blur, because my fingers and olive oil have touched the Bible, and it's like sort of I gotta get a little close here. Like I said, my eyesight's going not like it used to be. He says, I command you to say, do not be afraid of them. I will be with you to protect you. I, the Lord Yahweh, has spoken. See, don't be afraid. With all the chaos, the crisis that's coming, don't be afraid. You heard God say to Jeremiah, do not be afraid of them, because our people are nothing but scorpions. They're a bunch of wolves. They want to devour you. They're nothing but poison. A serpent with venom. But God said, I will protect you. It's like he's going to protect you, brothers and sisters out there, the great multitude. All right? You see, the Roman army surrounded me. I'm not afraid. I rejoice in his holy name. I rejoice in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. When the armies come. And then the Lord, Yahweh, reached out, touched my lips, and said to me, listen, I am giving you the word you must speak. Now God is touching him. That's the Holy Spirit. I'm on a video. I'll call you back. I am giving you the word you must speak. See how these calls start coming in? And I tell my whole family, I'm on a video before I even come out. Please do not call. But that's okay. It's all right. So that's the Holy Spirit. He's going to help Jeremiah speak. Like a lot of you young men that are watching these videos, I know you're studying, you're hesitating. Should I go? I need to know more. Just go. A lot of you young men, you might have been just watching for 1 week. It's time to go out. God is with you. Just open the holy book and start reading and start making videos and start preaching the word of God. And he says, you must speak. Today I give you authority over the nations and kingdoms to uproot and to pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. That's beautiful. He gives the prophets the power over the nations, because the prophets are reading the holy book, the word of God. And he says, you will have the authority over all nations and kingdoms to uproot and pull down, destroy and overthrow. That's beautiful. That's the power of the prophets. Now we're going to go in the holy book of Jeremiah chapter 26. This is Jeremiah is brought to trial. Like I said, he wasn't loved. The false prophets are loved. The false priests, the popes, the cardinals, the Joelstings, they're loved by their congregation. They prounce around in their silk robes or their Gucci, their Versace. They're loved. But the major prophets are hated. They're hated and despised. Jeremiah is brought to trial because he was hated because he spoke the truth. Just like right now in America, people are walking in denial that it's World War III. We've been in World War III. When it's not going to be the apocalypse, that's the end. When all the missiles are all flying, that's the end. There's going to be war with short-range missiles. There's going to be U.S. carriers that are going to get sunk into the bottom of the ocean. That's all coming. There'll be tens of thousands of Marines and Army soldiers being slaughtered. There'll be Iranians being slaughtered. Russians will be slaughtered. All the nations will be slaughtered in World War III. But we're We've been in World War III. People are in denial, right? Your average American, most women, they don't even watch the news. It's all going to be bad. It's all bad news. The real news is all going to be bad. The fake news is going to be, you're going to see actresses, actors, you're going to see singers, like that morning ABC news, morning shows. You're just going to see a lot of entertainment. That's called the bread and circus. But if you dig into the real news, it's all going to be bad. Like everything I bring out, the news, doesn't matter if it's about the economy, about the war, it's all bad news. We're in the times of lamentations, warning, and woe. Raw and uncut over here. All right. If you want to eat popcorn, eat candy, and you want Joelson to feed you cherries and blueberries and raspberries and ice cream, watch him. But it's all lies. Now Jeremiah, all the people hated him because he spoke the truth. And people don't want to hear the truth. So the Holy Book of Jeremiah, chapter 26, verse 1. And soon after Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, became king of the house of Judah, Benjamin, and Levite, the Lord said to me, stand in the court of the temple and proclaim all I have commanded you to say to the people who come from the towns of Judah to worship there. Do not leave out anything. Excuse me. Perhaps the people will listen and give up their evil. You say to the people who come from the towns of Judah to worship there, do not leave out anything. Perhaps the people will listen and give up their evil ways. So he told Jeremiah, go and preach, and maybe these evil people will change their ways. Because God's going to put the Spirit on Jeremiah. If you don't change your ways, the Holy Land will be destroyed. Your livelihoods will be destroyed. This happened in the past, and it's going to happen now. It's in the book, and no one could change it. But at this time, God's giving them a chance to change their ways. He said maybe they will listen and give up their evil ways. If they do, then I will change my mind about the destruction I plan to bring on them for all their wicked deeds. And the Lord told me to say to the people, I, the Lord Yahweh, have said that you must obey me by following the teachings that I gave you and by paying attention to the words of my servant, the prophets, whom I have kept on sending to you. You have never obeyed what they said. So he sends the prophets. The people don't want to listen to the truth. They want to listen to the false prophets. They want to listen to the lies. They only want honey. They only want the ice cream, the fudge, the cherry on top, the whipped cream. They only want the sugar. They don't want the bitter. They don't want the bitter truth that they were going off in them days, just like the people are going off today by the music that you listen to, the parties that you go to. You worship these so-called movie stars and rock stars, and you worship the government, the Federal Reserve, your Congress, your senators. Excuse me. You have never obeyed when they said, if you continue to disobey, then I will do to this temple what I did to Shiloh. And Shiloh is a city that God destroyed in the ancient times. Shiloh means peace. We're going to get into a lesson on that city. All right? That was a beautiful city, and God destroyed it. He sent the enemy in there to destroy. When the people go off and do evil, God will bring a destructive people to destroy you, and then he'll destroy them. He says, continue to disobey, then I will do to this temple what I did to Shiloh. And all the nations of the world will use the name of this city as a curse. And that's true. From back then it was destroyed, and then it was destroyed again during Yahushua. After Yahushua died on the cross, that was the second temple that was destroyed in 70 AD. And people look at the people as a curse. When the people look at us in our garment with the beard, they look down. Like if I walked right now and I went to the Denver World Airport, jumped on a plane and went to New York City and walked out there to Wall Street in my garment with my holy book, they would all look down. They would all look down of men of the Lord. Okay, just like if I went to Beverly Hills, they would look down on a servant of God. And they look at us as a curse. Because in the ancient times, the holy city was the tallest trees of the garden. We had the knowledge and the wisdom. People from around the world would travel to the Holy Land. And that was during the time of King Solomon, because he was the wisest man of all, King Solomon, which is in Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. King Solomon was Jesus Christ. His ancient Hebrew name, Yahushua. That's what most of you know him by, is Jesus Christ. That's all you've been taught, but that's not his name. That's why we're out here. Okay? But he was the wisest. It's in the Holy Book. He had the knowledge and the wisdom. All right? I told you he was the first Adam. Then he came back as Melchizedek. Then he came back as Isaac. Then he came back as King Solomon. And then he came back as Yahushua, the Lamb, that he had to die for the house of Israel. Because if he didn't die for us, all of us would be destroyed. This whole world would be destroyed. That's why we magnify his holy name, Yahushua, forever and ever. We're going to magnify his name to the world. Because he died for the prophets, the 144,000, and the great multitude of brothers, sisters, and children. So we magnify his name to all. If you like it or you don't like it, to all the nations. That's when he told Jeremiah, you will have the power over the nations. All the people are going to see. Back then and today, with the World Wide Web, everybody could see us. He said, to disobey, then I will do to this territory what I did to Shiloh, and all the nations of the world will use the name of this city as a curse. And the priests and the prophets and all the people heard me saying these things in the holy temple. And as soon as I had finished all that the Lord had commanded me to speak, they grabbed me and shouted, you ought to be killed for this. See, he was hated. He was speaking the truth. He was calling them out. the high priest, and it hurt their feelings. The truth hurts when someone puts you in your place, and it's God. He sends the prophets to speak his word. And it cuts. And it cut them. And they grabbed him. And they wanted Jeremiah dead. Just like all the prophets, all the apostles. And the greatest prophet was Yahushua. He was the greatest. When Yahushua preached the word of God, you could hear him for miles away. It's in the holy book. They put him. The apostles put him on a boat, and they would push the boat out into the sea when he preached, and you could hear him from miles. All right, he didn't preach like Joel Osteen. He didn't have a clean little face and walking delicate. The prophets of the ancient times were rude in speech. That's in the holy book. Rude in speech. They were rough. They were loud when there was a crowd of people. People were shaken from the power. Looks like this guy's gonna start cutting up this grass over here. We're gonna go ahead and close this lesson. We'll finish off with Jeremiah, and I'll put more scriptures together. I hope all you brothers and sisters were edified with this lesson. The prophets were hated. They were not loved. The fakes, the phonies are loved. But the great ones were always hated. But we're the underdog. And the Most High loves the underdog. The underdog is going to win. The small remnant, he calls us the little flock. We're going to overcome our enemies. We're going to pull down the nations to their knees. Hope all you brothers and sisters were edified with this lesson. Most High willing, I'll be here tomorrow. Tawada.